and we promise as the I-Team to fully investigate it.
Kate, as soon as we aired this story here last evening, the reaction really started pouring in.
So in this case, we decided to act.
The News Channel 3 I-Team tracked the bad guys from West Michigan all the way here to New York City.
Good evening. This case, more than any other in recent years, is making our leaders squirm. When we looked at state business records, we found the world headquarters for Patriot Solutions right here in this very nice neighborhood.
Did you ever give the public a chance to at least weigh in on whether they think they should have the $1 million or not?
That's just not something that is done on a regular basis. It would have been an exception to.
For $1 million, you wouldn't engage the community?
Oh, come on now. You're trying to make the story.
Looking for is an answer, Mr. Beeson.
Get away. Hi, Mom. I'm going to Disneyland.
A little bit about your driving. I mean, do you think...
Excuse me, get out my face.
Do you think you have is your driving record a concern for people?
Then as the meeting finally ended, all of the district's elected leaders chose to go the back way too.
I mean, you're an elected leader. We'd like to ask you some questions. Girl, do you have any comment about the bus driver investigation that we've undergone? You don't want to hear anything we have to say?
So we confronted her before a public forum this week.
Are you going to answer my question?
We are here about the public forum.
I'm here to cover both events. Can you please tell me why you didn't call the police? 0% veteran disability for the veteran that you're using for your company.
You guys need to step out.
Can you explain that?
You're not welcome here.
Can you explain what's going on?
A third and fourth time too, finally one last chance on the way out.
So you're not going to talk with us at all?
You're blindsiding.
No,
You're doing the thing that you have a reputation of doing,
I'm
David.
here to ask you some questions.
You're saying you have no problem with empty buses. It's costing $70 per ride for taxpayers. That's what you charge to GVSU per hour. I mean, a lot of people say that's just flat out waste. Do you? Do you think that's wasteful? You have empty buses. I mean, there were 6% of the 100 buses we surveyed in 1 week were empty, the entire ride. Do you have a problem with that?
It's unbelievable.
And absurd. That's how a national school security expert reacted to our new results in what is now a Follow the Money Waste Watch investigation. We'll introduce you to our expert in just a bit. The last few weeks, we've been reporting on some very inaccurate crime statistics provided to the state by the Kalamazoo Public School District. Check this out. To the left, you see the number of physical assaults reported by KPS to the state as mandated the past 4 school years, a big 0. To the right, that's the number of students' records we obtained show were expelled from Kalamazoo Public Schools for, guess what? Violence in school. Doesn't quite make sense. Recently, Kalamazoo Superintendent Dr. Michael Rice told us the district's legal position is that his schools only need to report convictions for crimes. We sat down with him today to clarify what that meant.
There are school districts that report in these cells. There are others that don't report in these cells. Kalamazoo Public Schools is not unique in this regard. So I'm not suggesting that we're right or we're wrong. I am suggesting, though, that it is somewhat complicated and that reasonable people can disagree on the same wording.
Ken Trump is the leading school security expert in the country, testified before Congress 4 times. He's worked in all 50 states, he says, developing school security plans for educators to keep kids safe. We talked with Trump in South Bend last week before he gave the keynote speech at a planning workshop there. We showed him all of our information, and he told us he thinks the folks in Kalamazoo are quite the mavericks.
I've never heard of this anywhere in the country in more than 25 years of experience in school safety, that a school district would have to track down the data to see if a crime that they reported to law enforcement resulted in a conviction in order to justify reporting it to the state.
Trump was even more shocked when we told him we found Kalamazoo's public school district was paid more than $250,000 last school year by the state of Michigan in grant money to, get this, report data accurately to the state.
To learn that they actually get paid to report crimes is unto itself unheard of and ridiculous. To find out they didn't even do it after they got the money is absolutely absurd. To find that they're trying to grasp for straws to justify not doing it is beyond comprehension.
In a twist, though, today, Dr. Rice said he thinks the grant money's actually not enough to cover costs.
The state funds data collection by pulling from another pot of money from school districts. So it basically robs Peter to pay Paul. This is not paying for data collection. This is an outrage.
We found in our investigation all school districts in the state get paid to provide a number of different categories of data, including crime statistics. $16 per pupil, $25.6 million in total to reimburse school administrators for the tough numbers crunching. Yet for 4 years, it appears nobody at the state level did any crunching, checking, or challenging of KPS's crime numbers. In the end, of course, taxpayers are in the middle, likely wondering if all this is a waste of time and money.
The state is just as guilty as the school district for not fulfilling their responsibilities. It sounds as though you have a whole system of don't ask, don't tell, and let's not go look.
Good evening, Andy. Voters passed a tax increase for new bus service by a mere 136 votes a year ago today, a very close and controversial vote. Tonight, we show you how the I-Team boarded a bus for a long, lonesome trip. One of many trips that could prompt questions whether the big expansion is just a big waste. Oh, how lonely the road can be on a Grand Rapids public bus around midnight. The I-Team took the Route 1 down Division Avenue by the number supposed to be the busiest bus in the entire system. So this was a shock. Way too comfy. Nobody was around. In fact, using our cell phone camera, we can tell you we got our own private ride, 3-mile private ride all the way to 54th Street.
Thanks for the ride, sir. Have a good night.
Have a good night, he said. That's what we wanted to know, whether the rapid bus system was having good nights. After all, taxpayers are paid more than $1 million annually for the rapid bus system to put more buses on the road in the evening, 6 o'clock on, and expand service longer into the night past midnight. The I-Team obtained hours of video from in-bus video systems through the Freedom of Information Act, video that gave us much more detail. This is Route 44, 8 different cameras on board, midnight, Granville to Grand Rapids. We watched for nearly 1 hour, not a soul, not one person got on this bus, 0 ridership. This is Route 17, late at night from the Ford International Airport to Woodland Mall. You see those two back there? Well, they got their own private ride on this night. We even sampled in the daytime, Route 12 around noon. Our cameraman in the foreground shooting these images while I sit in the back waiting for some company that never showed up. Finally, we checked out that Route 1 again near midnight, the busiest route in the system, supposedly. Last ride of the night, this time not a private ride, saw a group of 8 people that dwindled to 3 by the end of the ride. The bus can safely have around 70 people. We took what we found to the Rapids Chief Executive Officer, Peter Varga, who told us despite what we found, he thinks the night expansion's been a raging success.
The ridership increases are proving that they were very good investments.
We went beyond the video request to get ridership numbers for a sampling of 100 bus trips Monday through Friday late at night when service was expanded. For 6% of those rides, 0. That's right, 0 passengers rode the bus. 32% had 3 or fewer people, 56% 6 or fewer, 80% fewer than 10 riding the bus each time. Most of the 100 trips surveyed were part of the expanded service, but get this, the average ridership for the new trips added, thanks to the new tax, 5.64 passengers. Federal documents show the Rapids operating expense per bus hour, $74. You do the math, with 6 people on a 1-hour ride, all of a sudden cab fares looking competitive and watchdogs are angry.
We've been saying this for several years that the ridership is low on an average, and doubling the number of buses out there is just going to make it worse.
We had our own private ride all the way to 54th Street. I mean, how do you react to that, the sight of that? The last thing you want is empty buses, right?
Actually, the last thing I want is empty roads, to be honest with you. Why did I pay for a road that's now empty?
Why bus when you have nobody that's there?
It just so happens that nobody wants to go at that time on the road. Now, the question is, I'm happy that you were on the bus, because that's one more ride we got at night.
He might be happy about our trip, but the CEO wasn't happy with this continued questioning. So you're saying you have no problem with empty buses?
It's costing $70 per ride for taxpayers. That's what you charge to GVSU per hour. I mean, a lot of people say that's just flat out waste. Do you? Do you think that's wasteful? You have empty buses. I mean, there were 6% of the 100 buses we surveyed in 1 week were empty, the entire ride. Do you have a problem with that?
Far and wide, the Rapid is the most inefficient and the most ineffective at the tax money it spends.
But even the staunchest critics of the Rapid want to see the bus system succeed, the performance voters expected last year. Unfortunately, though, nobody could tell us a new plan or a new way to stop those private late-night rides.
Now, there is immediate fallout from this investigation. Leaders in two communities, Walker and Granville, tell the News Channel 3i team they are now going to be collecting signatures over the next few months to put to a vote a measure to back those cities out of the rapid bus system because of perceived waste. Coming up on News Channel 3 Live at 11, what that means. Also at 11. Can you say that that is an accurate portrayal of the numbers?
You can't put words in my mouth. What I'm saying.
Now, Peter Varga, the CEO, shown right there of the Rapid, earns more than $200,000 a year, higher than any other elected leader, including our governor. Tonight, he'll defend his ridership numbers, even as facts show the numbers are wrong. Also, we'll tell you what question we asked of him that prompted him to bolt from our interview. David Bailey, News Channel 3i team. Good evening. Several firefighters tell us all of this controversy with the inadequate staffing and the grant giveaway, all because they think some city leaders want to close down the fire department in favor of a cross-trained public safety department. Those in uniform tell us off camera this interim period of transition is an absolute mess for them. As for this $1 million, what could have been a very public and painful process to turn down the cash, we found was actually very casual and very secretive.
The News Channel 3i team was led to believe in November the problems in the city's fire department all about a lack of money. Can't reopen fire stations, can't bring the Wyoming Fire Department back up to staff, can't get new gear, all because the cash isn't there. City Manager Curtis Holt late last year.
Do you think what you're doing right now is a risk to the community?
I think it's up to us to make sure that we're providing the best possible service with the dollars that we have, yes. And that's what we do.
Do you protect the people of the city with the dollars you have?
I believe we do.
ICMA says you're woefully inadequate in doing that.
Again, that's your interpretation of that sentence, not mine.
To many, the ICMA report was actually very clear. Take the benchmark of 6.5 minutes for response time. The ICMA reported Wyoming's fire department is often, on average, 2 minutes late to a fire. The report also showed the first unit arrived to an emergency within 6 minutes, only 9% of the time.
Would I like to have a better response? Yes. Would I like to have the money to pay for a better response? Yes, I don't.
But it turns out, as we found, Wyoming City Manager did have some money available and said, no thank you. The obvious reason, there was a string attached to it. The grant was essentially buy one, get two free. The feds would pay for 2 years' salaries and benefits for 6 new firefighters at a cost of $994,828. The city would then be on the hook to pay for 1 more year for those firefighters at a cost of $521,000. Documents we obtained through the Freedom of Information Act show correspondence between Holt and Fire Chief Bob Austin. Austin did the legwork on it, pushing Holt to approve the request to get him some help. As FEMA was about to dole out the money, the feds needed a promise that the city could follow the rules. And at the last moment, the city's manager told the fire chief, quote, "No, we will not be accepting the grant. We can talk about it later."
In our Freedom of Information Act request, we didn't find any other emails that suggested the conversation continued at all. In fact, here in the I-Team office, we took a look at agendas for several months over that period of time and didn't find any evidence that there was any conversation about this particular grant.
I still think it's well worth it. Who doesn't like a BOGO deal?
Meet Chakay Brookian, the director of the Bayberry Farms Village, a community where people live in retirement in a quiet and upscale way, the facility right across the street from the decaying, closed Gazan Fire Station. The I-Team found response times are on average 7 to 8 minutes to this facility where senior citizens often need immediate help.
The reaction time should be 6 minutes, and that to me is a little bit long.
Tonight she's furious Holt turned down the money in what she perceives to be a backroom decision.
Why wouldn't you do that? Again, like it's just going to make you look so much better. And why wouldn't you want to take care of the people you're representing? I just feel like they're just not doing that.
Others at Bayberry told us they were angry after our first report and livid now.
No, I didn't think I could get more outraged than I was after I saw your story, but when I heard that, it all came back. It's unacceptable. It's just plain unacceptable.
So we pressed for answers from the city's mayor, Jack Pohl, who didn't want to speak with us at length.
Mayor, we're going to look at the long term. We're not going to be hiring staff and putting people on that we can't make a commitment to for a number of years to come, and we can't make that commitment.
Did anybody ever know about this grant? I mean, was this public hearing? I mean, was there anything on your city agenda?
Public hearings on grants.
But we found that's not true. In fact, the minutes of a city meeting on July 5th, 2011 show Mayor Pohl actually opened a public hearing for, guess what? A grant to help the police department.
Did you ever give the public a chance to at least weigh in on whether they think they should have the $1 million or not?
That's just not something that is done on a regular basis. It would have been an exception to.
For $1 million, you wouldn't engage the community?
Oh, come on now. You're trying to make the story. So
I'm asking you some questions.
Let me help you schedule an interview.
Well, we later tried to schedule that interview with City Manager Holt, but didn't get a response. In his most recent blog, Holt said grants don't always require council action. That kind of power by an unelected leader is fueling a fire on the southwest side of town. Folks, they're telling us they wanted that funding, they want their fire station, and now they want change.
I was really stunned by how bad the situation here is.
And we can tell you that those folks you saw from Bayberry will be addressing the Wyoming City Council next Monday and will be asking for City Manager Curtis Holt's resignation. That in the aftermath of our investigation. Interesting tidbit here, we contacted leaders at FEMA who told us the federal government recently relaxed the rules on buy one, get two free, meaning the city wouldn't have had to buy a third year. And firefighters tell us many of the young guys looking for jobs would have been ecstatic to take what would have been just a 2-year deal. David Bailey, News Channel 3 IT.